Lily just passed away, and I feel bad, but I'm getting remarried. I'll leave the child with you since you don't have kids. The day after my sister Lily passed away, her husband Mike told me this heartless truth over the phone. What? What are you saying? My tongue barely moved. My throat felt tight, and even breathing became difficult. I'm saying I'm getting remarried. I can't raise the kid. You don't have any children, so it's perfect, right? Mike added, tell the kid, I mean Marcia, to take care, and hung up the call. Lily and Mike's child, Marcia, was playing upstairs. I decided to go to Mike's house to pick up her belongings. Do you want to come with me? I asked, and Marcia gave a small nod. In the empty house, I searched her closet for clothes and underwear, and packed a few items. When I returned to the living room, Marcia was nowhere to be seen. Then I found her standing in front of a photo of Lily. Marcia stood there, gazing up at the photo. Marcia had a faint smile on her face, lifting one corner of her lips. My name is Rachel. I woke up in my bedroom as soft morning sunlight filtered through the window, staring up at the ceiling. A few years ago, I used to share this room with my husband, Isaac, but now we've decided to sleep in separate rooms. At first, it felt strange, but now I'm able to sleep comfortably. In our late 30s, when the honeymoon phase of being like lovebirds started to settle, we decided it was better to sleep at our own preferred times. That's how we ended up sleeping in separate rooms. Good morning. Yay, good morning. In the living room, the radio was playing softly in the background. Isaac was making a simple breakfast while listening to the morning news. Since we both work, we don't have any fixed rules about who cooks, but as the early riser, Isaac usually takes care of it. As he made fried eggs in a pan, I leaned my cheek gently against his arm. Careful, he said, pushing me back slightly, looking a bit shy. We don't have children. It's never been a particularly significant issue for us. Instead, we cherish our time together and enjoy our days by supporting each other. Not far from where we live, my sister Lily and her family reside. Lily married Mike, whom she met in a badminton club during college. They were blessed with an adorable daughter, Marcia, and built a happy family. Marcia, my niece, is so precious to me that I can't help but smile whenever I see her growing. Visiting Lily's home and seeing Marcia happily playing has always been my favorite pastime. One day, I visited Lily's house and rang the doorbell. Lily, are you there? I called cheerfully. Lily soon opened the door with a smile to welcome me in. Seeing her smile always made me feel at ease. Rachel, come on in, she said. She led me to the living room, and we chatted for a while. The colorful mats spread across the floor, and the small trampoline in the corner of the room instantly revealed this was a home with a young child. Several photos were displayed on the TV stand, including nostalgic pictures of our parents. Our parents had passed away early on. Wanting to help Lily, who was much younger than me, graduate from college, I worked tirelessly to earn the money for her tuition. Lily once told me, I don't need to go to college. But knowing her dream of becoming a teacher, I didn't want her to give up just because we had lost our parents. Her dream had somehow become my own as well. Time passed, and Lily achieved her dream of becoming a teacher, which made me so proud. When I shared these feelings with her, she smiled with a hint of sadness. Marcia, who had been playing with blocks in the next room, came over to Lily. On Lily's face, I saw a mixture of her responsibilities as a mom and a pride she carried as a teacher. How are you feeling? I'm getting tired easily. I've been taking some time off work for a while. I had heard over the phone that she wasn't feeling well. Her eyes showed signs of fatigue, and behind her faint smile, I sensed an uneasiness she was trying to hide. Noticing her fingertips trembling slightly, I furrowed my brows. Have you been to the hospital? Of course not. I'm not going. I think it's just exhaustion from returning to teaching right after Marcia was born. I'm thinking of staying home as a housewife until she gets a bit older. Being sisters, I picked up on the subtle changes in her smile. I was certain she was hiding something, but it was clear she wasn't planning to share it with me. The room was sparsely furnished, with minimal belongings overall. Mike, who liked to keep things tidy, was in charge of organizing the house. Lily often complained, though, that he threw out even the things they needed. When I heard that Lily hadn't recovered and was still working as a teacher, I became increasingly worried. I started visiting her house frequently, standing at her doorbell, hoping to hear her cheerful voice. But the atmosphere felt heavier than usual. After a while, Lily opened the door with a pale face, dark circles under her eyes, and a smile that barely masked her exhaustion. Rachel, you came again. I was worried. How are you feeling? Yay, I'm okay. I'm starting to feel a bit better. Her husband, Mike, seemed busy with work and was rarely home. As Lily sat on the sofa, she let out a deep sigh and closed her eyes. Next to her, Marcia was laughing and playing innocently. I placed a box of donuts I'd brought as a gift on the table, and Marcia happily opened it, eagerly munching on one. Lily, how about going for a little walk? With her eyes still closed, Lily shook her head. I don't feel like moving right now, she replied weakly, and her demeanor made me even more anxious. Days like this continued for some time. Occasionally, I'd run into Mike, but after a brief greeting, he would retreat to his room. The house wasn't as tidy as usual, with dirty dishes piling up in the kitchen sink. Though Lily didn't say it outright, I started wondering if her relationship with Mike was strained. Unable to stop myself, I began cleaning the kitchen. While tying up the trash bag, I noticed a syringe among the garbage. That's dangerous. You should wrap things like this before throwing them away. I remembered that syringes are supposed to be disposed of at hospitals. Patients are usually advised to return them for proper disposal. Why was it discarded like this? I shook my head slightly. The sight of the syringe surprised me, but I told myself that everyone has medical issues they prefer to keep private. It's not right to snoop through someone's trash and let your imagination run wild. Not knowing whose medical equipment it was, I pretended not to have seen anything and tied up the trash. While I was doing the dishes, Marcia came up to me and tugged on my sleeve. What's wrong? I asked. Marcia looked up at me with her big, beautiful eyes and said, I want you to cook something for Mom. Of course, I'll make dinner for her tonight. What does Mom like? Dad usually makes soup for her. She doesn't finish it all, but she eats it because she likes it. I glanced over at the sofa where Lily was sitting, with her eyes closed. I see. You can never truly know what goes on between a married couple. Mike might have seemed distant, but he was still preparing meals for Lily despite her poor health. That evening, I cooked dinner. Mike had plans to eat out with a friend, so it was just the three of us, Lily, Marcia, and me sharing the meal. I decided to make curry for dinner. Initially, I wanted to cook something easy to digest for Lily, but Marcia insisted on having curry. After checking with Lily, I started preparing it. I wondered if Lily, with her lack of appetite, would be able to eat. As she sat in her chair, she smiled faintly, watching Marcia eagerly eating her curry. Lily scooped up a small spoonful of curry and brought it to her lips, but almost immediately, her face twisted slightly. Rachel, I think it's a bit too salty, she said with a strained smile, putting her spoon down. I'm sorry, you don't have to force yourself to eat it. Do you want to lie down? Mom, it's delicious. Eat lots. Let's eat together, Marcia said cheerfully, her bright demeanor a source of comfort. Still worried about Lily's deteriorating condition, I took a bite of the curry myself. It was just an ordinary curry made with store-bought roux, following the instructions exactly. It didn't taste particularly salty. If anything, I had made it milder for Marcia's sake. As I watched Marcia eagerly eat, her cheeks puffed out and curry occasionally spilling onto the table, Lily looked on with a gentle expression. The sight of Lily smiling and Marcia laughing innocently felt surreal to me, almost dreamlike. It was as if this place, this moment, existed in an entirely different world. Even though I was physically present with them, I felt like a distant observer. Why was that? It was such a joyful scene with my sister and niece. Yet a strange loneliness crept into my heart. Without realizing it, I reached out and held Lily's hand. She looked at me, puzzled, but quietly held my hand in return. I couldn't even explain why I had done it. If there's anything I can do to help, I began. Thank you, Rachel, Lily replied softly. Her words carried genuine gratitude. Yet there was also a distant, almost dismissive tone to them. I couldn't bring myself to say anything more. Marcia's laughter echoed in my heart, yet with every sound of her joy, my unease grew. It felt as if a dark shadow was creeping closer from somewhere far away. I turned my gaze to the window. The evening sky was painted a soft orange, and a quiet breeze drifted by. One day, while I was spending a quiet afternoon at home, my phone rang. The caller ID showed Mike's name. Although we had exchanged contact information, he had never called me before. Seeing his name, I felt a wave of nervousness. Hello, this is Mike. Do you recognize me? Of course, I do. What's wrong? Actually, Mike said in a small voice, Lily passed away. My heart froze. Those unbelievable words shattered my thoughts in an instant. As I sat there, unable to respond, Mike continued in the same small voice. She slipped from an overpass earlier today, and it seems she hit her head badly. After the call ended, I sat in silence, my hands clutching my head. Lily is gone. Isaac must have noticed my stunned demeanor because he came over to ask what had happened. Like me, he was shocked, but he immediately suggested we head to the hospital. As I sat in the passenger seat of the car while Isaac drove, I stared out the window, praying. Why? How could this happen? A storm of emotions swirled inside me, but the strongest feeling was the desperate desire not to believe it. By the time we arrived at the hospital, Lily had already passed away. Wrapped in a heavy sadness, I sat on the cold bench in the waiting room, unable to summon the courage to enter the room where Lily now lay. I closed my eyes, trying to steady myself. A faint sound broke the silence as Marcia sat down beside me and grasped my hand. Mom is sleeping. Maybe she's tired. I opened my eyes, but words failed me. I couldn't tell if the young girl understood what had happened. Tears streamed down her face as she gazed at me, her large eyes filled with sorrow. Mom, I want to talk. Please talk to me. Marcia's voice pierced my heart, tightening my chest. Not knowing what else to do, I pulled her into a hug. Mike emerged from the hospital room, having finished speaking with the doctor, and gave me a slight bow. His expression carried a trace of sadness, but his eyes were dry, devoid of tears. I'm sorry, I have to get back to work. What? Wait a minute, this isn't the time for that. Your wife just passed away. How could you say such a thing? As he prepared to leave as if nothing had happened, a seed of doubt sprouted within me. A few days later, the funeral was held. Dressed in mourning attire, I stood among the attendees. Relatives and friends gathered, all enveloped in sorrow, quietly shedding tears. Mike, acting as the chief mourner, moved through the crowd, greeting attendees with a distant air, his mind seemingly elsewhere. Among the mourners, a young woman with striking features caught my attention. She was tall, with long black hair, and her beauty was captivating. I noticed Mike greeting her warmly, a genuine smile spreading across his face. "Lenore, you made it," he said. Standing a short distance away, I watched the interaction, feeling unease settle over me. The woman called Lenore wore a black outfit adorned with a dazzling diamond necklace that caught and reflected the light. While undeniably elegant, something about her presence felt out of place in this somber setting, casting a shadow over my heart. Noticing my gaze, Mike glanced away, appearing slightly uncomfortable. However, Lenore, exuding confidence, approached me directly. "Nice to meet you. You must be Rachel." "I'm Lenore, one of Lily's juniors from university," she said, introducing herself with a smile. "I was in the badminton club, and Lily took great care of me," she added, bowing politely. Lenore. The name stirred a memory. Yes, I'd heard about her from Lily years ago. She had mentioned a stunningly beautiful woman who had joined their club, a company president's daughter who was highly popular during her university days. Looking at her now, it was easy to understand why. Her refined features and striking, almost foreign elegance set her apart. Lenore gazed at the photo of Lily, her smile radiant, then exhaled softly as she looked down at the ground. Lily was truly an incredible person. "I always wanted to be like her," she said. "Really? I'm sure Lily would be happy to hear that." "By the way, that necklace is beautiful," I remarked, my eyes lingering on the diamond that sparkled at her neck. A small, mischievous part of me wanted to question her. Does she not know that wearing flashy jewelry at a funeral is considered poo etiquette? Lenore touched the shining diamond lightly with her fingertips, a serene smile gracing her face. "They say diamonds symbolize unbreakable bonds. It might not be typical for a funeral, but Lily was someone who cherished connections deeply. I thought she'd appreciate it," she explained. Her words made me want to call her out immediately. Lily, who valued common sense above all else in her pursuit of becoming an educator, would never have approved of such an inappropriate display at a funeral. She was especially mindful of outlandish or unconventional behavior. But Lenore's confidence, the way she spoke without hesitation, and her composed demeanor made her seem as though she believed this funeral existed solely as a stage to showcase her beauty. Mike, standing beside her, nodded repeatedly, completely taken by her words. Lily was such a wonderful person. My memories with her are treasures I'll hold on to forever, Lenore concluded, a faint smile playing at her lips as she met Mike's gaze. That smile filled me with a creeping suspicion. Was she trying to use Lily's absence to steal Mike's heart? "Rachel, I need the restroom," Marcia said softly, tugging at my leg. Taking her hand, I guided her toward the bathroom. As we walked past, I saw Lenore and Mike standing close, chatting and laughing together. Lenore leaned in toward Mike, her laughter echoing softly. Here, at Lily's funeral, under the watchful eyes of heaven where Lily might be watching, Mike laughed freely with another woman. What rose within me wasn't anger, it was sorrow. After the funeral, Mike approached me with a request. "I'm busy with cleanup and everything. Could you take care of Marcia for a while?" I agreed without hesitation and took Marcia's hand, walking home together. The following day, Mike called me. I answered without much thought, curious about what he might need. That was my mistake. As I gripped the phone, Mike's cold voice echoed in my ear. I'm marrying Lenore. You can have the kid. She's better off with someone like you, who doesn't have any of her own." The meaning of his words froze my heart. My mind went blank, and the world around me blurred, the information losing all sense. "What? Wait, what are you saying?" I stammered. My tongue felt heavy, my throat tight, and even breathing became a struggle. Desperately, I tried to demand an explanation, my voice trembling as waves of emotions crashed over me. I held back the urge to scream and waited silently for Mike's response. "I've been dating Lenore since before Lily passed away," he admitted. His words pierced my heart like arrows. Why did it hurt so much, even though it wasn't about me, but my sister? It felt even more painful than if it had been directed at me. Mike continued without hesitation. "After Marcia was born, I couldn't see Lily as a woman anymore. Then, by chance, I ran into Lenore. She's as beautiful as ever, just like in the old days. She's my ideal." His words felt like a cold, selfish confession, full of excuses to justify his betrayal. For a reason like that, anger gave way to overwhelming sadness at his callousness and irresponsibility. "I'm leaving everything to you," Mike said indifferently. Finally, he added, "Tell Marcia to stay strong," and hung up the call. Marcia was upstairs, playing with Isaac and some stuffed animals. Her high-pitched laughter drifted faintly down the stairs as I sat enveloped in a deep void. I decided that same day to prepare the necessities for Marcia's new life. I didn't know whether Mike was truly serious about giving up Marcia, but for now, she didn't even have a single change of clothes with her. I made my way to Mike's house to gather her belongings. In his earlier call, he'd told me he'd leave the door unlocked and that I could take whatever Marcia needed. Such careless treatment, but I was resolute in building a new life for Marcia and didn't hesitate to head to his house. "Do you want to come with me?" I asked. Marcia nodded slightly. Inside the empty house, I searched through her closet, picking out some clothes and underwear to take with me. Would she truly never return to this house again? When I returned to the living room, Marcia was nowhere to be seen. "Marcia." A small wave of panic rose as I began searching for her. Worry tightened its grip on my heart, and my anxiety grew. Then I found her, standing in front of a photo of Lily. I hurried over and knelt by her side. Marcia stared fixedly at the photo. "You must miss your mom so much, don't you?" I wanted to hold her close, to comfort her. As I reached out, I stopped, my hand hovering in the air. I looked at Marcia's profile. Her face, though just 3 years old, carried an unexpectedly mature expression. She lifted one corner of her mouth in a slight, enigmatic smile. "Rachel, we have to get revenge on them." I felt a chill from Marcia's eerie tone, and instinctively pulled back slightly. Her voice had an unsettling quality, and I couldn't help but take a step back. "Marcia," I called out in surprise, but without hesitation. She reached for the mobile phone placed in front of Lily's photo. She easily unlocked it and said, "Rachel, look at this." The phone was locked with a pin that Lily had set, and even Mike, her husband, couldn't unlock it. Yet, Marcia effortlessly unlocked it and handed it to me, causing confusion to rise as I glanced around. "What is this? What's going on, Marcia?" Ignoring my question, Marcia started playing a video. "Mike made me drink this," Marcia said, holding the phone toward me. I gasped in shock. The video showed Mike, wearing a sinister smile, adding powdered crab extract to a soup pod in what appeared to be the kitchen of their home. What? Lily had a severe shellfish allergy. The video was time-stamped for the day Lily passed away. My mind was spinning with confusion. "Marcia, what does this mean?" I stared at the video screen, unable to look away, as I asked Marcia. Though her face was young, there was nothing childlike about her demeanor. After that, she got sick, and on the way to the hospital, she fell off the overpass. Mike must have known about Lily's allergy since their school days. Why would he do something like this? I stared at the video again. There was no doubt that Mike had added the crab extract powder. Marcia, seeing me frozen and unable to move, took the phone from my hands and said, "That's not all." She played another video. In this one, Mike was once again adding crab extract to a family meal on another day. I stood there, speechless, unable to move. Is this really him? I could feel my voice trembling. My fingertips wouldn't stop shaking. I had been feeling sick for a while. I found a bottle labeled crab in the kitchen and got suspicious, so I set up a camera. Then I saw Mike doing this. Marcia spoke calmly. Her vocabulary and manner of speaking had reached an adult level. I asked her, still confused. No, I asked someone who was using Marcia's form. But why? Why did Lily drink the soup? This video. Lily must have seen it too, right? How did you know? But still. Marcia's face twisted, and tears started to fall. It wasn't the cute kind of tears a young child would shed. It felt like a torrent of emotions. Anger, sorrow, hatred, and despair all mixed into those tears. Did you love Mike? Yes, I loved him. I didn't believe he could do such a thing. But his feelings were different. He chose Lenore instead of me. Marcia cried bitterly and screamed. In that moment, a whirlwind of shock and confusion filled me. The Marcia standing in front of me was not the innocent one I had known. It felt like the anger and sadness buried inside her were aimed at Mike, who had betrayed Lily's love and treated her so cruelly. It was as if the pain of being betrayed by someone she loved spilled out with her tears. A surge of intense anger rose within me. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. Startled, I looked up and, leaving the silent Marcia behind, opened the front door. It was Isaac standing there. He had come to check on me because I hadn't returned home from Lily's house. Marcia slowly walked from the hallway to the front door and quietly stared at Isaac. Isaac noticed her and cheerfully called out, "Marcia," but then his face quickly changed. "Wait, are you not Marcia, but Lily?" Isaac had always claimed to have a sense of the supernatural, but I didn't believe in such things, and since I had told him that I didn't want to hear about it because it scared me, he stopped bringing it up. Without even talking to Marcia, Isaac noticed something was wrong with her after just one look. I also clearly realized the person in front of me was not Marcia, but Lily. Isaac, with a slightly nervous expression, approached Marcia. Marcia, as he stepped closer, stood naturally in the hallway. Is Lily's soul possessing Marcia's body? No way. Marcia smiled just like Lily would. She briefly glanced at me, her expression showing a hint of sadness. "I'm sorry for scaring you, but Rachel, Isaac, I have a request for you both." Her voice was exactly like Lily's. She reached out her small hand and gently took mine. I loved Mike. That's why I can't forgive him. Do you understand this feeling? I stared into Marcia's eyes, where Lily's soul was probably hiding, and nodded quietly. The grip on my hand tightened, and she looked at me with a serious gaze. If I don't get revenge on Mike, my resentment won't be cleared. Please carry on my wish and show him the truth. Understood? Of course. What should we do? Through Marcia's body, Lily's feelings reached me. The sense of urgency in her voice made both Isaac and me feel a little scared. I want you to submit the video saved on my mobile phone to the police. That should be the evidence. I took a deep breath and nodded. Got it. I'll make sure to do it. Although I hadn't fully accepted the idea of Lily possessing Marcia's body, I was certain the contents of the video were true. Just as I made my decision, I heard someone coming up the stairs from the entrance. It was the perfect timing, so I gently patted Marcia's head. I quickly stood up and headed towards the sound, where Mike and Lenore were standing, slightly shocked. "You're still here. Hurry up and take Marcia's and Lily's stuff. I'm moving out soon. Mike, can we talk for a moment? Lenore can join us too." Mike gave me a puzzled look but reluctantly headed toward the living room. Seeing Marcia sitting there with an intense expression of anger, I asked Isaac to stay with her and leave the rest to me. "Are you sure? Should I come with you?" "I'm fine. I'm Lily's older sister." I winked at Marcia, and her expression softened just a little. Calmly watching the two relax in the living room, I said, "I have something Lily asked me to show you." Mike, reacting to the words Lily asked, looked at me with a surprised expression. Lenore, sitting next to Mike, squinted her eyes and crossed her arms, looking intrigued. "Is this the last message from the deceased Lily? How beautiful." "It might be the exact opposite of beautiful." I gently placed Lily's mobile phone on the table. The screen was already unlocked, with the password entered. Mike shouted, "How did you unlock it?" as he stood up from his chair. Ignoring his panic, I played the video Lily had recorded, the scene of Mike adding crab extract powder in the kitchen when no one else was around. While Mike looked shocked, Lenore watched the footage curiously. "Huh, Mike cooks too. How lovely. What's the significance of this?" "Well, this is footage from the day before Lily passed. Mike was adding crab extract to the soup he made." "Crab extract. Lily has had a shellfish allergy since she was young. You knew that, right?" Mike remained frozen, staring at the video. He must have understood the implication from the conversation. Lenore fell silent, alternating between the video and Mike, holding her mouth. "I know it's a severe allergy, and she always carried an EpiPen. But for some reason, that day she didn't use it and was heading to the hospital instead. Since Lily had learned about her shellfish allergy as a child, she always carried an EpiPen, which is used for anaphylactic shock treatment, since extracts can be used in food. It's often hard to identify them, despite always carrying the EpiPen for emergencies." "Hey Mike, why didn't Lily use the EpiPen? Do you know why?" "Well, maybe she forgot where she placed it." I stood up from the chair and went outside. There was a large blue trash bin near the entrance, and I took out a bag from it. It was trash I had collected a few days ago while cleaning the house. I brought the foul-smelling trash back inside and opened it in front of Mike. The stench grew even stronger, and Mike's face contorted in disgust as I handed him a broken EpiPen wrapped in newspaper. "This was in the trash. I didn't realize it at the time, but this is Lily's EpiPen, right? If she had this, she wouldn't have needed to go to the hospital in an emergency. Am I wrong? That Lily must have thrown it away herself. I didn't know anything about it." I said nothing, continuing to gaze into Mike's eyes. In the corner of my vision, I saw Marcia's face peeking through the crack in the door. Even I, without any psychic ability, could tell she had a look filled with hatred. I bit my lip slightly. If this continues, Lily's soul will be tainted. It will be consumed by hatred, turning into something like an evil ghost. Please, Mike, apologize to Lily. Realize the weight of what you've done. I didn't do anything, I didn't. The video showing Mike adding an ingredient ended, and another video began to play. Since it was the latest video, it seemed that the oldest video saved on this phone was now being played. Lily, holding a baby in a hospital room. Was Mike the one filming? Lily lovingly rubbed her cheek against the baby and smiled at the cameraman, who was likely Mike. In the video, Mike says with a tearful voice, "Thank you, Lily. I got to be a dad." Lily smiles, nodding happily while giving a wry laugh. Lily looks at the baby, who suddenly starts crying, with a calm expression. I couldn't bear to watch any longer, and instinctively paused the video. It was Mike, more than anyone, who seemed the most shaken by seeing the nostalgic footage. He stared at his own hands, and eventually covered his face with them. Back then, everything was going well. Lily and Marcia were here, and I thought we'd have the happy family I always dreamed of. Mike's eyes were slightly watery. Somewhere in my heart, emotions began to stir. The eyes of Marcia, visible through the crack in the door, glowed with a suspicious light, carrying a sense of vengeance. "Mike, everything you did will be reported to the police, including this video. This is my last request. Please accept it without saying anything more, and atone for your sins, please." I bowed my head deeply. I hoped Mike would turn himself in on his own, but it seemed like he no longer had the strength to think, as he appeared dazed and completely drained. After that, I took Lily's mobile phone and submitted the video to the police. Mike easily admitted his guilt and was arrested. As expected, his remarriage with Lenore was called off. After successfully carrying out my revenge on Mike, I felt Lily's presence in Marcia gradually become more peaceful. When I asked Lily if she would remain inside Marcia's body forever, she smiled wryly and shook her head. "I'll be back to normal in a while," Lily told me. "Why? I don't know," she said, her eyes distant. "Rachel, thank you." Lily smiled within Marcia's body. "Please use my life insurance to send Marcia to college. Just like you did for me. I want her to see many different worlds." "Understood. I'll take good care of Marcia, so don't worry." Hearing those words, Lily smiled gently. About a month later, one day, Lily disappeared without even saying goodbye. When Marcia woke up and I saw her expression, I knew right away. Lily was no longer inside Marcia. There was a 3-year-old innocent girl in her place. Marcia rubbed her eyes and came into the living room. She looked around, as if waking from a dream. Then she laughed and ran over to me, hugging my legs. "Rachel, I met Mom in my dream. She said she loved the old times." Seeing Marcia, at just 3 years old, accept that Mom was gone and try to move forward, I truly wanted to support her. I knelt down, hugging her tightly, not wanting her to see my face, and I cried. 15 years passed since then. Isaac, Marcia, and I have been living peacefully together in harmony. Marcia is now in her 3rd year of high school. She is taking part in the university entrance exams with a badminton scholarship, eagerly awaiting the announcement of the results. Perhaps Lily's athletic ability was passed down to Marcia. Marcia had won numerous tournaments with her skills. As a proud adoptive mom, I felt a sense of pride, but deep inside, I also carried a lingering anxiety. Everything will be fine. She's definitely going to pass. The day of the results announcement held special meaning for the 3 of us, Isaac, Marcia, and me. Would I be able to fulfill my promise to Lily? I couldn't help but worry about that. I stood before Lily's photo and prayed. In the quiet room, my heart overflowed with thoughts of Lily. "Lily, please watch over Marcia. I hope she passes safely." Would my prayer reach Lily like a gentle breeze to the sky? I believe Lily is watching over Marcia's growth, but when the moment arrived, anxiety squeezed my chest. Whenever Marcia showed a glimpse of Lily's resemblance, I was reminded of Lily's presence. The truth is, I'm not Marcia's real mom. It was Lily who truly wanted to be with her all along. and I feel sorry for that. I whispered to myself. My heart's true wish is for Marcia to be truly happy. At that moment, hurried footsteps were heard from the second floor. I realized that Marcia was checking her exam results on her mobile phone. My heart raced, and I instinctively closed my eyes. The moment that would decide Marcia's fate. The tension enveloped me. Please. When I next saw Marcia's face, I hoped it would be smiling. Passed. I passed. Marcia's voice echoed, and she came running down to the first floor where I was. When I saw her face beaming with excitement, my heart instantly filled with warmth. She opened the door and entered the living room, looking like a ray of sunshine piercing through. In that moment, tears overflowed from my eyes. Unstoppably, Marcia, who had been smiling slightly at me, soon found her own eyes welling up and jumped into my arms. Marcia, congratulations on passing. I hugged Marcia, sharing in the joy, and felt the warmth in my heart, as if the bond between us had grown even stronger. Rachel, I really passed. Thanks to you, I can go to college. Lily helped guide Marcia this far, I said, and Marcia didn't reply. Isaac, having heard the commotion, must have understood from Marcia's elation that she had passed. He wore a relieved expression. He looked at the photo and quietly reflected. Lily is happy too. Maybe Isaac could truly see Lily's joy. But I had always been certain that Lily had been watching over Marcia. Her love continues to live on inside Marcia. After looking at me, Marcia turned her gaze to Isaac. She sat down again and expressed her gratitude from the bottom of her heart. Rachel, Isaac, thank you for everything. I'll do my best from now on, so please keep watching over me. Marcia's words made my heart swell, and I hugged her once more. The slight tremor in Marcia's body revealed that she had now become a strong, grown woman. We'll always be on your side. Let's continue walking this path together. I felt a faint presence from the photo. In that moment, I'm not sure how to explain it, but Marcia and I exchanged looks. We both clearly sensed Lily's presence, but neither of us spoke a word. Her love still supports and guides her daughter. There was no need to say it aloud, I thought. Marcia's future was filled with hope and dreams. In place of Lily, I vowed to watch over her future as her mom. Suddenly, Marcia looked down a bit shyly. Then, with a bold gesture, she raised her face and flashed us a beaming smile, just like when she was a child. Thank you, Dad, Mom.
You're saying you can't follow my instructions just because you're an inexperienced part-timer? You know, it's because we rely on you that you can have this lifestyle, right? I found out they were moving forward with living together behind my back, and even worse, assuming I'd be their housekeeper. It's outrageous. They think I won't talk back or retaliate, but they'll regret it soon enough. I'm Betty, a 70-year-old housewife. At 70, many people stop working due to health or pension reasons, but I can't just sit still, so I'm still working part-time. I always want to try new things. I can't just stay home alone. I've been doing this part-time job for 30 years now, and I consider myself quite experienced. I used to work as an office worker for a fairly well-known local company. I joined the company right after high school, thinking it would be a steady office job without sales or physical labor, but it seems my body reached its limits without me even realizing it. At the office, I faced a grumpy boss who spread negativity, a senior colleague who drove numerous people to resignation with his snide remarks, and a domineering older woman who believed her word was law. The office was a parade of unique personalities. So, my simple hope of working steadily until retirement, nurtured since high school, crumbled easily. However, during this dark time, a moment of light shone through. It was when I met my future husband, Anthony. It started with a chance encounter due to a cold call sales visit. I couldn't help but notice our eyes often met. Is there something on my face? I fell in love with your beautiful smile at first. Would you like to join me for lunch during the break? Curiosity about this straightforward man led me to accept his lunch invitation. From there, our relationship deepened quickly. And it didn't take long for us to start dating. I want to make you happy. Let's support and build a life together, shall we? I accepted his proposal and we got married. Marriage was bliss for me at the time. The use of past tense relates to my retirement and Anthony's behavior. Even after marriage, I continued to work, hoping to add a little more to our family finances, especially since I was determined to complete my tenure at the company. Before marrying Anthony, I had told him, I want to work at my current company for a long time. And he was very supportive back then. There's no rule that you have to quit your job after getting married. More money never hurts. I hope you'll continue working until retirement. Soon after our marriage, I became pregnant and gave birth, making it natural to want to keep working for the extra financial need. However, this decision to consult Anthony and continue working would become something I'd regret. Right after getting married, I found myself caught between the unfamiliar demands of married life and workplace stress, leading to a decline in my health. A departmental transfer added to my woes with unfamiliar tasks and unjust criticism from my boss, making it difficult to manage both physically and emotionally. Being married, I couldn't just decide to quit without discussing it with Anthony. I consulted him several times before making the decision to resign. I've been feeling unwell lately, probably due to stress. I'd like to quit and focus on my treatment. Really? Maybe it's all in your head. But, well, it's fine, I guess. Though I thoroughly discussed my reasons for quitting, post-retirement life plans, and our financial management, Anthony's responses always seemed detached. I talked about it often and believed he was listening. His responses might have sounded indifferent, but since he replied, I assumed he understood. That was what I thought until the day I resigned. Returning home with a bouquet from my colleagues, I was met by an infuriated Anthony. Did you really quit? Just running away from stress? What are we going to do about our future now? Really? I've discussed this with you many times. Was our agreement to keep working a lie? Did you lie about wanting to get married quickly, knowing I wanted a dual income? In a sudden outburst, Anthony snatched the bouquet from my hands and hurled it to the ground. I thought with both of us earning, our finances would be secure, and with a woman to do the chores, life would be easier. Useless. The night I left my job, I felt I saw Anthony's true colors. Anthony, a graduate from a prestigious university, worked as a salesman in a major company's key division. I remember how his colleagues and juniors spoke of him as a hardworking salesman and a role model. But in reality, he was someone who lacked confidence to support the family on his own income, even temporarily, and had married with the intention of having a partner to handle all household chores. I came to the realization that Anthony didn't marry me for a life together, but rather for his convenience, choosing me as a source of income and a household manager. I recall feeling almost despair, recognizing that Anthony lived behind the facade of a hardworking, respected family man in public. As my health gradually improved, I began exploring part-time job opportunities. Further, upon hearing from a friend that writing diary-like blogs on the internet was becoming popular, I used the money I saved from my part-time job to buy a computer. Subsequently, I diligently continued to study on my own, utilizing the gaps between my part-time job and the quiet hours after my family had gone to sleep. I've always enjoyed learning and trying new things, so blogging was not a hardship for me. However, since my health deteriorated, Anthony has consistently looked at me with dissatisfaction. It seems he was particularly upset about my shift from full-time to part-time work. He appeared to view part-time jobs as trivial, fit only for those who can't handle full-time work, and frequently made derogatory comments. Don't get too proud over the little money you make from your part-time job. Don't use part-time jobs as an excuse to neglect your household duties. The sarcasm from Anthony was truly unpleasant, but I used to just brush it off as a way to decompress. However, I was unaware that a situation was approaching that couldn't be simply ignored by brushing off Anthony's remarks. Mom, I want you to meet someone. I've decided to get married to a woman I'm dating at work. I'm seeing someone from work, and I'd like both Dad and Mom to meet her. Has the time finally come for Robert to introduce someone he's dating? I'm happy about it. Just make sure she's not a dull person like Betty. Of course not. She's a wonderful woman, not at all like Mom. Besides, I've already told her about Dad. She's eager to meet my elite dad who works for a well-known company. Robert has always looked up to Anthony, who works in a leading role at a famous company. He seems to believe that because Anthony is capable enough to work at a large corporation, he must be capable as well. Perhaps influenced by Anthony's derogatory comments about me, Robert also seems to look down on me, with hints of sarcasm in his words. Robert is currently working as an employee at a nearby supermarket, and it seems he is dating a woman who works there part-time. Honestly, being our only son over 40 with a less than pleasant personality, I had doubts about his prospects for marriage, so this news was incredibly joyful. On the agreed day, Robert brought her home. Nice to meet you, I'm Lisa. Please take care of me. Seeing Lisa, who spoke in a somewhat nasal voice and looked up through her lashes, gave me chills. She wore an off-the-shoulder knit top with a very short skirt, a flashy and revealing outfit that seemed inappropriate for her age. Was it a woman's intuition or a parent's instinct? Seeing Lisa, I felt it was not the attire to meet one's future in-laws, and at the same time, I had an uneasy feeling. However, Anthony seemed quite taken with her at first sight. You've brought home such a cute lady. I'm so happy that such a cute woman will become Robert's wife. It would have been fine if he just liked Lisa at first sight. But he started to constantly demean me while praising her. Oh, Lisa, you're looking cute in that blouse today. Beauty really shines when worn by a pretty girl. If Betty wore that blouse, it would be like casting pearls before swine. Oh, stop, Anthony. Saying such things is an insult to both pigs and pearls. I usually let some comments slide, but it was unpleasant to be persistently insulted. Once, overcome by disgust, I fell silent, only to be mocked by Anthony and Lisa. What's the matter, Betty? Why the scary face? What, are you seeing Lisa as a rival? How pathetic. I can't believe Betty thinks she can compete on the same terms. Even Robert started to pile on. Mom doesn't dress properly because she doesn't work properly. That's why she always looks so sloppy. To be spoken to like this by Anthony and Lisa was bad enough, but now even by my own son. Moreover, I sensed an uncomfortably close relationship between Lisa and Anthony, almost beyond what would be expected of in-laws. I decided to just let it go and ignore them because it was too distressing to deal with. However, ignoring Anthony and Lisa due to discomfort only led to more egregious behaviors. They started going out casually and bringing back receipts for large amounts. It became more frequent for Anthony to go out at night with the newlywed Robert and Lisa, often returning drunk in a taxi late at night. Finding receipts nearly $1,000 in Anthony's coat was not a rare occurrence. I felt trembling anger over such extravagance, considering our age and the prospect of not having work in the future. On another day, I overheard the three of them planning a stay at a luxury hotel, treating me like an outsider. Let's go to the new luxury hotel in Anchorage with Robert and his wife. I hear the course meals are exquisite. Dad, you're so well informed. I'd like to go, but money's tight. Robert glanced greedily at Anthony, who responded confidently. Leave it to Dad. With the company bonus, it's like we're on a big ship. I'm so happy. Anthony, you're amazing. I want to eat lots of king crab. From the conversation, it seemed Anthony would be paying for the expensive stay, costing over $1,000 per person per night. They must be able to make such statements because they aren't thinking about the consequences. Oh, is Betty staying with us? Of course not. Stay in the same room as Betty? That would be a waste of the room cost. Right, such a nice room would be wasted on Mom. I could hear the three of them mocking me, shaking with frustration and resentment. Then, right after returning from the luxury hotel trip with Robert and his wife, Anthony announced his plan to build a new house. What? Why build a new house when we already have one? I've decided it. You have no say in this. Despite his easy assertion, neither Anthony nor I were young anymore. Just having a house doesn't guarantee a secure life afterward. Even if I don't interfere, what about the money we need for our retirement? I'm nearing retirement. Whether I retire now or later with extended employment, I'll have enough money. We can manage with loans and investment. This is why women ignorant about money matters are no good. Anthony's rebuttal, filled with jargon like a bank or salesman's spiel, left me uneasy. Moreover, he spoke lightly of taking out a loan, but there's no guarantee we would get favorable terms at our age. You talk about loans easily, but what about our age and the loan approval process? If we apply jointly with Betty, it should be fine. I've already discussed this with an expert. They say it won't be a problem. Although Anthony was using the expert's opinion to convince me, I remained unconvinced. Is it really common for experts to advise nearing retirement couples to easily take joint loans? Are you sure about this? What now? When did Betty become so important? Are you saying the experts are wrong? This is an order as the head of the family. Though sudden, our current house does have its inconveniences for later life. If it's about minor remodeling, then rebuilding might be an option. Was Anthony, despite his harsh words, secretly considering a comfortable life for our retirement? However, this was just me wanting to believe what suited me best, as I would soon come to realize. The construction of the new house finished quickly. The design and build seemed quite modern, more suited to younger people. Facing the house with no trace of barrier-free design, I couldn't help but speak to Anthony. It's quite a unique design for us to live in. It seems big and the cleaning will be tough. What are you talking about? We're going to live with Robert and his wife. I was unaware that Robert and his wife had requested the new house. It seemed like an opportunity for Anthony, who was particularly fond of Lisa, to live together with them. Robert and his wife were happy to live in a new, beautiful house and thought they could get away with not doing anything by having me handle the household chores. The fact that such an important decision was made behind my back, treating me essentially as a housekeeper, was utterly unacceptable. Ah, Betty, we're going to live together, right? I might rely on you for housework and stuff. Rely on me for housework? Are you serious? Our cute son and his wife helping out will bring excitement to our later years. Actually, there's something we'd like you to do right away. Lisa, having a lot of personal belongings, was behind in her moving preparations. I was speechless upon seeing the room cluttered with brand bags and clothes that Anthony had bought her. Then, Anthony asked me to help Lisa. You wouldn't abandon Lisa in trouble, right? We're already living in the new house, so Betty, you should bring Lisa's things over first. Anthony and Robert's family likely never imagined how inconvenient it would be without me, whom they usually looked down upon. Lisa seemed unable to organize her belongings efficiently, and even if things went smoothly, it would likely take at least 2 weeks. Preparing for my move was challenging too, but thinking about the future life motivated me. On Lisa's final day of packing, I shared my decision with the kindest smile I could muster. Lisa, you must be tired from the unfamiliar task of packing and moving. I've booked a nearby business hotel for you. Why don't you rest there today and head to the new house tomorrow? It's better to start a new life well rested. Thank you, Betty. That's quite thoughtful of you. I still have a bit to do, so I'll take my leave. Good night. Lisa, unaware of my plan, headed to the business hotel. As soon as Lisa left, I went straight to the airport. A one-way ticket to Hawaii, this was my escape from hell to freedom. In fact, I had started taking serious steps towards divorce as soon as the new house was built. I had been consulting a lawyer, known for their expertise in divorce issues and introduced by an acquaintance, about the problematic behaviors of Anthony. Having arrived in Hawaii on a night flight, I slept soundly for the first time in a long while. The next morning, noticing a call from Anthony, I decided to answer. Hey, is Lisa's move done? Yes, it's done. And I've just completed moving into my new place in Hawaii. I could hear Anthony's bewildered voice over the phone. Hawaii? What, is it a trip? You think I'd go on a trip alone at this time? His incredulous voice came through the phone, and I struggled to contain my laughter. Then, regaining composure, Anthony spoke more assertively. Hawaii? I didn't hear about this. Going on a solo trip to Hawaii at such a time, you must be living large. Who said anything about a trip? Anthony still seems to believe I'm on a whimsical solo trip and will return someday. You hardly work, yet there's plenty for you to do in this house. Come back soon. Oh, don't pretend you don't know. It's divorce. Anthony, sensing something serious from my words, started to panic over the phone. Divorce, just like that? You think I'm taken by Lisa? Competing with her is audacious, Betty. A jealous wife wanting a divorce because her husband is too close to another woman. Is that your narrative, Anthony? Don't make me laugh. The lawyer will contact you later for details, so make sure you sign properly. At first, Anthony seemed to brush off my words as a joke, but the mention of a lawyer seemed to hit hard. No way, the house has Betty's loan too. Divorce? How can that happen? With a divorce, we'll need to restructure the loan. The lawyer will explain, so please cooperate. If we divorce and restructure the loan, the repayment will undoubtedly be challenging. Having a skilled lawyer handle everything from the loan to the divorce and property division was a great relief. Oh, I almost forgot something important. I've requested a provisional garnishment on your retirement benefits from your company. I've informed them of the details. What? Garnishing my retirement benefits? You think that's allowed? Relying on my retirement benefits in addition to the divorce? His panic turned to anger over the phone. It seems that for Anthony, the idea of others knowing that the divorce is happening due to his own faults is a distressing matter. At work, I'm known as a family-loving husband and a father respected by his children. Who would believe such a thing? Such a facade, built on lies, will eventually crumble. Of course, I had taken this into account when I reported to Anthony's workplace and even proceeded with the provisional garnishment. Furthermore, I added a final touch to the situation. Are you familiar with marital property? As I mentioned earlier, all this will be explained by the lawyer. The company is already aware of the situation, so let's see how it turns out. I could hear Robert and Lisa making a commotion on the other end of the phone. Apparently, they were blaming me for not returning to handle the household chores and errands. Then, presumably handed the phone by Anthony, Robert and Lisa directly started to complain to me. Hey, what are we supposed to do about housework if Mom doesn't come back? You're not expecting Dad or Lisa to do it, are you? There's no rule about who has to do the housework. You're all adults, you can manage. Besides, Robert, shouldn't you be more concerned about not looking for affairs on dating sites? I had heard from a friend that Robert was using dating sites. At first, since he was married, I thought it couldn't be true, but the profile page shown to me by my friend, although the photo was edited, was unmistakably Robert himself. It was discovered because he had been persistently sending messages to my friend's daughter. Single male, second son, works at a listed company, loyal personality, treasures the one he loves. I see. What? Accusing me of cheating? Is this some kind of harassment, Mom? It was shocking to discover my own son was secretly engaging in affairs. As Robert frantically and unreasonably retorted, I continued unfazed. Harassment? I'm just reading what's written here. Surely, Lisa knows about this? I've just sent her the link to this profile. Lisa's scream could be heard, indicating she had likely seen the profile. Betty, is this some kind of fake or harassment? Stop it already. Stop it? That's my line, Lisa. Aren't you the one who's been racking up debts under my name? I had received debt collection notices for debts I didn't recognize. Upon investigation, it turned out Lisa had incurred them, and they were sent to me as they couldn't collect from her. I don't know what you're spending on, but living beyond your means to the point of debt is destructive. After living off Anthony's money for years, don't you dare lecture me. That must be how it seems to you, Lisa. As for your debts, I've already informed the lawyer along with Anthony's matter. They'll be in touch. Anthony and Robert's family were still muttering something on the other end of the phone, but I hung up, not wanting to waste more time. The next day, when Anthony went to work, he was apparently met with cold stares from everyone on his floor. According to a colleague of Anthony, news about the provisional garnishment of his retirement benefits had leaked out, and many people came to know of it. Though he had a stellar career as a top salesman and received offers for re-employment and positions at affiliate companies, those opportunities were cut off due to the rumors of the garnishment, and he ended up retiring as planned. Barely managing to restructure the loan, he now lives in extreme poverty due to his past extravagance. Robert, you said your job at the supermarket was part of learning management, and eventually you'd work at a famous company through Dad's introduction, right? It can't be helped since Dad quit his job. Lisa, why don't you sell those branded goods you pestered Dad for and use the money to support us? Don't joke. If I knew Anthony would end up like this, I wouldn't have married Robert. Lisa was furious as she had decided to marry Robert partly because of his elite father-in-law. She felt betrayed. Robert had used Anthony's status to attract Lisa, promising her a lavish life once he joined a famous company through Anthony's help. Robert had promised Lisa an elegant lifestyle where she could have anything she desired once he secured a position at a famous company through Anthony's influence, but this never materialized. Lisa's screaming and violent behavior caught the attention of neighbors, leading to a period under administrative care. Her extreme behavior gradually led to mental health issues. Due to stress, it appears she developed overeating disorder, spending all her money on food to the point of gaining so much weight that she could no longer support her own body. A former neighbor informed me that she had eventually been banned from some stores. Starting anew at this age, especially finding work, would require considerable effort, which seems unlikely to be successful. Robert's situation worsened as well. He caused trouble with a customer at the supermarket where he worked and had already been fired. I had heard previously that Robert had issues with customer service, and it eventually escalated into an argument with a customer that became uncontrollable. He reportedly caused such a ruckus in the store, damaging shelves and merchandise to the extent that they were rendered unusable, which apparently led to his forced resignation due to disciplinary action. Robert often boasted about Anthony's name, claiming he was too good for a petty supermarket job and would make a big name for himself working hard in a large corporation. His future now seems worrisome.
Soon everyone will see how great I am. I'm not someone to just smolder in a place like this.
Even after quitting his job, his braggadocio hasn't subsided, and he's been busy on social media trying to impress others with his grandeur. Furthermore, believing Anthony was wealthy, Robert hasn't been job hunting but instead spends his days oscillating between home and gambling.
Lisa is a woman. She should be able to do at least some housework. I don't need to listen to Anthony, jobless and broke, about what I should do.
Anthony, who has never done housework himself and previously pushed all household chores onto me, is now seemingly trying to make Lisa do them, leading to ugly conflicts. The neighbors have conveyed these unbearable details to me, suggesting the reality must be quite dreadful. As for me, following the finalization of the divorce, I am now enjoying a free life in Hawaii. I had been diligently saving money from my part-time job and continued blogging for many years, which allowed me to accumulate a significant amount of savings. It seems Anthony was too busy making snide remarks about me, not realizing that I had my own resources and plans. Anthony and Robert were unaware that I had saved enough money from my blog, which I kept as a secret nest egg, to afford a new house. Moreover, my long-term commitment to blogging was recognized by a certain company, and I received an offer to provide content combining travel and local information. Given the freedom to express the charm of any place as a writer, I chose Hawaii, a place I had always admired, and decided to buy a new house there, which turned out to be the right decision. The warmth and welcoming nature of the people who embraced me, an outsider, fills me with gratitude. I live alone now, but I quickly made friends, so I never feel lonely in my daily life. I'm glad that my years of effort have allowed me to lead a happy and free life. Like the people living in this area, I too want to continue living with compassion for others.